Ryan here with Prudential Pest Solutions, and in this video we're going to remove a football-sized yellow jacket nest that's inside of a barn that a customer was using as a workshop. Let's take a look. So this customer had called us and they were using their barn, this back area, as like a finishing room, and what they do is they refinish 1930s, 1940s era furniture. It was actually kind of really neat to see how he did that. Well, anyway, he's working in this finishing room here, and he noticed some yellow jackets here and there, and he was moving some equipment, and lo and behold, here's this football shape, or football size rather, yellow jacket nest. Now, what's kind of interesting about this is that typically when you see our other videos of yellow jacket nests and hornet's nest removals, is that they're in a structure, or they're not as easily accessible as this one was. So the first thing we're going to do is, obviously, I'm going to suit up in my bee suit, and I'm going to use my favorite aerosolized insecticide, which is PTPI, and we're going to inject into the nest. Now, the nest, and we're going to look at the inside in a minute, but the nests are going to be stacked. Right? The comb of the nest is going to be stacked. And unlike honeybees, there's not going to be honey in there. No, that's going to be the larval stages and the juvenile stages of the yellow jackets. So if you just poke one hole in at the top, there's a chance that aerosol isn't going to permeate each layer. And as you remove it, you may have a bunch of alive yellow jackets coming up close and personal to you. So we don't want that. So what we're going to end up doing is we're going to just kind of puncture. You'll feel when you put that nozzle in there where the soft spots are. That's where just the paper backing is, and we're just going to kind of just make sure we apply a little bit of that aerosol into each layer just to make sure everything's killed off. Now, if you look to the right here, you're going to see that there's a gap of light, and that's a slat in that barn wall. And very typical, right? You just mount a bunch of boards vertically, and you have a barn. Well, it allows other things like pests and insects to come in there. So we're going to constantly see this kind of steady stream of yellow jackets that are still coming into the barn here. Those are the workers. So their job is to go out of the colony, go out of the nest, find resources, collect resources, and bring them back to the colony. Well, what happens when they come back is they're going to realize, hey, my home is gone. What happened to that? And if you watch any of our other videos, you'll know that they're not going to follow me in the nest. They're going to go back to where the nest was. So here's a good close-up shot of the inside of the nest here. And I'm actually using my camera phone for this because my GoPro died, so I apologize for the little bit of shakiness to it. I didn't have too much coffee today or anything like that. It was just I'm using my phone, so I'm trying to treat the yellow jacket nest and hold my phone at the same time. But I'm a true professional, and we can make that happen. So after we actually remove the nest here, we're going to apply a residual liquid to the area where, number one, the yellow jackets are coming in, and also to where the nest used to be, because like I said, those yellow jackets are going to kind of congregate there. What I love about the aerosol PTPI is it works very quickly. It's a total kill. But one of the downsides of it is that there's no residual. There's no longevity to it, meaning that once it's dry, it's kind of no longer active. And although these workers, the nest is removed, although these workers, when they come back, they can't rebuild the nest. Okay, they can't make themselves a new queen. It's really just a small percentage of the overall colony that's left, and they're going to die anyway. But when we're going to use the liquid insecticide is that's going to provide a residual for us, so that these workers that are coming back, yeah, they're going to die either way, but this just speeds up that process. Now, moving forward, I always try to tell people, what could we have done differently? What could we do on a preventative measure so that this doesn't happen again? And typically I can tell folks, hey, if we come do an exterior spray or we do some caulking and some sealing, we can stop this from happening. Unfortunately, with a barn, just the way it's designed with those slats to allow airflow in, we just can't do anything about that. So we're going to apply that liquid insecticide. This may be a thing that happens once in 50 years, once in every years, once every 5 years, who knows? But we're able to help them out, get that nest removed. And then once we're going to get everything sprayed up here in a minute, and then we're going to vacuum up the stragglers, and we'll be good to go. So like I said, this customer here was very interesting. He actually gave me a whole tour of his shop afterwards. Like I said, he takes 1920s, 1930s mostly, wooden furniture, and reupholsters it, refinishes it, and it was really something else. But one of the things I learned about that era of furniture is it has a lot of rounded edges, with some of the pieces had some really nice veneer, not like the big box store or the online veneer that you find that's real thin. This is really exotic, hardwood veneer that they would put on these with a real rounded edge. And he finished these things. They were so beautiful. They were like glass, which is not how they would have looked apparently in the 1930s. But it was really, it had a modern feel to some antique furniture. So anyway, that's us removing and treating and removing a yellow jacket nest inside of a barn. If you have a bee, hornet, yellow jacket issue, or any pest issue in general, it's time to call the professionals at Prudential Pest Solutions. You can reach us by phone or text at 484-401-4361. We service all of Berks County, Chester County, Lancaster County, and southeastern Pennsylvania.